Hey, you guys, this is Courtney Camaro. I'm outside of Muhammad Ali's real original home. We're in Chicago, and I wanted to shout out Al's Botanics and Herbs. Man, when I tell you, I am one of those people that has insomnia. I can't sleep. I can't focus on some days because I'm so sleep deprived, and this has helped. This is one of the mixtures he has that helps with sleep.
Yeah, I tried to go live on my laptop. I think I might have to get I might have to get a new laptop. I might have to upgrade my laptop because it's I think it's kind of falling behind to modern network infrastructure. I think it's just outdated. So I think I might have to get a new laptop. So anyway, I was talking about before I didn't have any volume, the connection was really lagging. So basically this a couple social media couple, they are filing for divorce. Well, the woman is filing for divorce. Let me share the picture in the background. Um Play some music here. Play a little music. Yeah, so basically it's like one of those like kind of happy couples. They basically one of those like, you know, I'll drink your bath water chicks. Like this, she was like really good looking woman. I mean, the whole thing is a lot of times people make a post and they say, um, a man can have all of this and he'll still cheat. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like basically, men are subjectively no different than any other mammal. They want to, the man's objective is to copulate with as many women as they possibly can. And a lot of times women don't really understand that. That's one of the things, one of the many things that women just don't, they really don't understand. They just don't understand that concept, and they're still trying to follow this like Eurocentric concept of, basically monogamy. And even that European standard. Okay, here's the thing, right? The Eurocentric monogamy standard, even the Europeans, even white people they're not doing great with that standard. They're following these Eurocentric standards that even white people are, struggling with. They themselves are struggling with their own standard. They're not, they got falling birth rates. I mean, they basically dying out. I mean, uh they're not doing well with their own European standards. But yet black women, I think one of the things that I noticed about the difference between black women and black men, I noticed this over 20 years ago when I was in high school. I think philosophically, black men are more like kind of Old Testament, or uh even to be honest, more Muslim in their philosophy and the way they live their life, the way they want to live their life. Definitely conservative, and black women are definitely Christian and definitely Eurocentric. They have a lot of Eurocentric standards that they enjoy and uphold. And then one of those things is the Eurocentric idea of monogamy. it's just weird to me, you know. Even look, you know, Cardi B is, I mean, just a laughing stock of the world. Like she leaves her husband, divorces her husband because of infidelity or whatever. And then she gets with a dude that not only is he uh you know uh eh, eh, having the same issues, he having whole entire babies along with, like, you know, she's one of four women that's gotten, you know, basically a newborn babies by this guy. And it's just like it just you know, it's just weird, bro. It's like, you know, I mean, it's just so stupid. You know, it's like, man, you know, you get with a dude that not only is he cheating on you, he's having whole babies on your ass. He's got multiple babies. I mean, Stefan Diggs, he basically has had already four babies, two already birthed. He had two boys, and then he's got two more on the way. And he's got, allegedly, he has his chef, he's got his chef pregnant. I mean, like, it's funny, man, because you know, you think about it like, wow, you know, you trying to do the right thing, right? You're trying to follow this Eurocentric standard as far as you not being able, the man is not supposed to cheat, then he goes and cheat, then you divorce him, then you go get with a dude that cheats more than him, and then not only does he cheat, he has whole babies, you know, in the whole process. And it's like, yeah, that's, you know, that's girl math, you know, that's girl math, right? But this is the thing here, right? So a lot of times this backfires on women. A lot of times women have post divorce regret. A lot of women have post divorce regret. You know, basically they got divorced, they thought it was right, maybe their girlfriends egged them on. A lot of women don't like to be embarrassed. You know, women go out of their way to avoid embarrassment, you know. And you know, they don't like to be embarrassed with their friend group, and they will put a man in under the entire bus because he's embarrassing them in their friend group. As many women have left men because they got coerced by their friend group. You know, you know, it just you think like, man, you know, guys don't have that strong of a connection. I mean, they just don't have that, you know, they just, guys really don't listen to other guys like that. We have to take our own, you know, calls, or we have to um figure things out amongst ourselves. Like we don't have friend groups that we listen to like that. You know, we just don't. That's one of the differences between men and women. We just don't um listen to our friends like that. We don't hold that much weight with other men telling us what we should do with our relationships. We just that's just not something that we do. But you know, this is definitely something that you know, it happens every day. But you know, this couple was definitely you know, one of those happy go lucky couples that prank, you know, they constantly doing pranks on one another. You know, they look good, you know, they got family, they've been together for 11 years. We'll see what's gonna happen with them. But you know, Sad to see, definitely sad to see people, getting divorced, families being split up. And then, a lot of times women have, post divorce regret and then they don't fare well. Look at Tia, was it Tia Mari? She just basically crashed out of she crashed out of her marriage and fell flat on her face. I mean, Tia fell so hard on her face that other women saw that shit and they was like, I don't think I want to do that. This is this woman is just a crash out. But women every day are filing divorce and they're what do they call it? FAO, fuck around and find out, they find out what that involves. And you gotta understand the dating market 10 years ago is totally different than the market now. I mean, even 10 years ago, I was married. 10 years ago, I was married. I wasn't even dating, I was married. I mean, obviously, I wasn't happily married, but I was definitely married. I mean, the dating market 10 years ago versus now is totally different. I mean, it is like it didn't get better. I'll just say it like that. It definitely didn't get better. It didn't improve. The dating market 10 years ago versus now, it didn't improve. And that's what, a lot of people that are, trying to get in a new relationship, or they leaving one relationship and going to another one, they figuring it out that they probably should have stayed in their relationship, because it's just not a good environment to start dating again. So the thing is that they are, they're gonna find out the hard way. Um and the thing is that basically this is how, a lot of people are gonna realize, a lot of women are gonna realize that, a lot of dating options that you think you might have, is you're gonna have probably a worse situation with the next guy versus the one that you have. You'll be regretting that you left that relationship. you know Now, I mean, if you dealing with abuse and dealing with any type of problems and issues where basically you getting abused, I mean, it's just not worth it. You need to, yeah, you need to get out of that relationship. You shouldn't have never even been in that relationship. But you got women leaving their husband because they just were bored, or they um just thought it was a good idea, you know. And they're they're waking up to realize that you know it wasn't a good idea. So I ain't gonna be here long. I just wanted to kind of say something about this. I mean, black people just don't really have a lot of black people reject their the idea of being African. So the only thing they have left is being a European. And you trying to be a European when Europeans are not even being good Europeans. They're declining. They're basically erasing themselves with their own philosophies and their own, ways that they live their life. And you got basically a sinking ship. You got women that are trying to hold on to this sinking ship, and the idea and all the ideas that go along with this sinking ship, that's a problem. I mean, I'm African. I have no other choice but to be African because that's just my identity. That's half of my identity. The other half of my identity is definitely being an African American. And one of the things that I'll say is that Africans understood thousands and thousands of years ago. They understood very basic concepts as basically there's more women than men. They understood that. And one of the things that they understood was, in order to deal with that imbalance, polygamy was definitely something that was accepted and something that was even common. And even still in Africa, that is widely acceptable to be polygamous. And you look at black women trying to even, to be honest, a lot of what black women in America, primarily in women just in general in America, what they do is they try to force you into polygamy. I mean, not polygamy, but monogamy. For example, if a man gets with a woman, she's basically, a lot of the situations is, most, like a woman like her, like the woman that is divorcing her husband, she's like a 9 or 10. That's a basically she is basically a dime. Okay, he married a dime. It doesn't matter if you marry a dime or a five. You still want to copulate with other women. That's just a natural urge. Biology, it's just natural. And the thing is that black women don't understand that concept, and it's just one of the things that they just don't accept. They don't even women in, uh that are Muslims, they don't like the fact that um polygamy is something that is acceptable in their religion. They want to reject it. They want to throw that all the way out. But the thing is that this is just something that they're following, their environment, and the environment has a lot of Eurocentrism in it, so they're just trying to copy that. But not too many people, and they won't accept. They won't, the like women will not accept, especially black women will not accept. You could tell them facts, how basically that it's more black women than black men. There's not that many women that are of age. It's not even that many black women that don't have children. You could throw out all the stats you want. They only want to accept what's within their friend group, whatever their friend group are doing, what everybody else is doing. That's what they accept as their reality. And their reality, it rejects the idea of anything outside of monogamy. And even white men don't practice monogamy. They have, mistresses, they have boyfriends, um they do swapping, wife swapping, and swinging. I mean, they doing all kind of stuff. But the thing is that basically that model definitely is not working for black uh couples. Definitely not working. And the thing is that black women are still going to complain about, he cheated on me, Like that's just something that they're going to continue to complain about. And typically what happens is a lot of men, they in order to get a woman, a lot of them lie to women. They tell them, "Oh, I want you. I want you, only you." And they just tell them a bunch of like sweet little lies, like the song, and basically they do that in order to keep the relationship in. Like men can also be monogamous pretenders. A lot of men are monogamous pretenders. They they say they do it differently than women. They do women the way women do basically are monogamous pretenders is the reason they're doing it because they want the benefits of a relationship, all the while secretly being basically a hoe, a slut. Basically, they got a boyfriends that they've dealt with in the past that they still hook up with. They got boyfriends at their job. They got boyfriends, the guy that they went to prom with, they still having sex with. That's how women do it, because the reason why the motives for women being monogamous pretenders is so they can have all of the benefits of a monogamous relationship. The reason why men do it is similar. They want the benefits. The benefits for men is more sexual. Women don't really care about the sex. The benefits for them, they get gifts, they get financial incentives, they get access to assets, they get access to future assets, all of the possibilities within a relationship they get from that, and that's what they value. Men primarily value the um basically sexual access and availability of that woman. They don't want to let that go for another woman. Okay, that's why men primarily are monogamous pretenders, because they still want to have that woman in house and they're available with them and their children. They don't want to mess that up for being with someone else. So they'll lie to a woman because they want to. You can't even get like that woman that he got with. He most likely couldn't get that woman if he told. I mean, I'm just saying hypothetically. I don't know, but hypothetically, most guys can't get their woman. They can't get a woman based off of them saying that I am not monogamous. They can't do it because in order for that man to proceed in the relationship, he has to agree to the woman's preference for monogamy. And that's what most men do, most men do in the world, and in America. That's what they do. That's the song and dance that men do. They want to get with the best looking woman that they possibly can. And then some of them, a lot of them lie to these women in order to have some type of relationship with them, because the woman would never know how women say all you got to do is be honest. Well, a lot of times when you're honest, and I recommend that, I recommend you be honest. I mean, look at Stephon Diggs. He ain't the only issues that is having is bad PR, but I mean, he's got, four different women, basically raising his children. He's impregnated four women in 1 year. I mean, he's probably got more babies this year than touchdowns. I don't know. But the thing is that basically that's why men, get with these women in these relationships. They make the promise of monogamy, all the while knowing that they're not going to be monogamous. And if men collectively did not if they stop doing this, if they start being honest with women, a lot of women would, obviously be with somebody else. They'll just be with liars, whoever is lying to them, but they won't have to worry. I mean, it'll probably be more women that will accept men because they have to. They have to accept a man, so if most men are lying to women to basically get in a relationship with them to lock them in, it basically it's no benefit. It's no benefit for men to try to change this situation to where they just throw out these Eurocentric values and reject monogamy, but they're still trying to do that, and even in the Black community, and it's not going well at all. It's just not going well. So you have a situation to where Black women are primarily the only women that have the lowest marriage rates. They have the lowest marriage rates in the country. They're still going to church in droves. Um, only most of the people that go to church now, I notice, is women and a lot of gay men. A lot of gay men are in the church, and the pastor's gay. The congregation and a lot of the congregation, the deacons and all, they're butt buddies, and it's really it's a sad state of affairs. Very very sad state for the Black community. But the thing is that this is all they know. This is what their grandparents taught them. This is all they know, and it's going to continue to happen. These women believe that, even him being a top tier guy, I believe he's a top tier guy. I don't know how they made their money, or how successful they are. I think they're pretty successful. They got look like brand deals and pretty popular on TikTok and YouTube. So I'm sure they're getting some type of ad revenue. But the thing is that these are this is just one example of a man that, to be honest, doesn't have to be monogamous. Men don't have to be monogamous. It's certain men that they don't have to be monogamous. Okay, Chris Brown doesn't have to be monogamous. He can basically say I'm polygamous. A woman has to just accept it, or not get with Chris Brown. And most women are going to go along with that if they had the opportunity. But the thing is that every man ain't Chris Brown. So the thing is that that doesn't work for every man. So that's why men choose to lie to women and tell them that they accept monogamy, so they can basically please that woman.
You're automatically beta. Automatically, you're beta. You're beta as fuck.
So, yep. I mean, in the words of the late great Alan Roger Curry, yes, that is very beta to lie to a woman about your wanting to be monogamous, or so you can keep her in this relationship, or to even get in a relationship, to basically to get sex from the women. Because a lot of times women are asked certain questions. They'll definitely ask very serious questions before they take the relationship in depth, and they start, you start having sex and everything. They'll ask certain questions like, do you have anyone else, or you know do you want to be with anyone else, or what do you want to be with me, what type of relationship do you want to have with me. They'll ask all of those questions, typically. But what happens is, the thing is that many men, they choose to basically lie to women, as well. Like, I mean, it's not just on women, it's, men are lying to black men, are lying to women, telling them that they're okay with monogamy. I told a woman that I was going to marry a long time ago. I had to be honest with her. I don't want to be monogamous. I don't want to just marry you and that's it. I'm just fucking you, making babies or whatever, and then that's it. That's just not what I wanted my life to be. And I had to be honest and tell them that's what I wanted. But see, this is also what happens as well. And I talked about it. I said I was mentioning this earlier. You can even tell a woman you don't you don't want monogamy, and she'll still try to lock you in to monogamy. She'll still try to lock you into that, because that's also what women do. Like, you'll let's just say you tell them you don't want monogamy, and then they'll stay in a relate they'll keep having sex with you and threaten you. If you basically step out with them with someone else, they'll say, I'll kill you, or if you get a STD or something like that. I mean, like, it's still, like, over the time, what you'll find out, if you because you got two types of women. You got women that are acceptable to any type of poly relationship, right? And then you got women that are not okay with that, and what women that are not okay with that, what they'll do is they'll still keep you around, but they want to police you and your dick into monogamy. Like, which is, I'm gonna be honest, I don't have any problems with, the idea of you being safe sexually. You're not supposed to be spreading any diseases. I do agree with that. And I understand the concept of that. But I mean, the thing is that it goes beyond that. Even if you got with someone else, they'll if they find out, they'll stop having sex with you. Even if you told them that that's what you already wanted to do anyway. So that also happens a lot of times. You'll get in a relationship, you can even be married and everything, but she just was saying that she's okay with it, but she's all the while not okay with it. She's, saying certain things. Why are you talking to her or whatever? And that does happen too. You'll get in a relationship with a woman, and then she'll try to like walk you back down towards what level she wants you to be on, and that level is monogamy. Now, I'll explain why women want men to be monogamous. I'll explain it as far as the best way I can explain it. In the logic of women, or women rather. So here's the thing when it comes to why women primarily like monogamy. One, I mean, black women are pretty much black people are programmed to be Eurocentric. Even myself. I mean, I'm in a Eurocentric country. I mean, America is Eurocentric. Eurocentric is very, very Eurocentric. You gonna have Eurocentric values if you living in America. You living around Europeans, you gonna have some type of Eurocentric values. That just goes with the territory. But the thing is that the reason why women want monogamy is a few things. One, women have so I'll just say they have a lot of your time. One, women are very, very, very um into your time management. Like they really want you to be around as much as possible. You even have women, they'll divorce a man if he works too much, believe it or not. Like they'll complain. Women will complain if a man, I'm not saying all women, this is not an all or nothing conversation. I mean, it's just many women have complained about men working long hours, you know, trying to make some money, and pay the bills. They don't care. They want you around, right? Well, if you're with another family or with another woman, you're not around. Just another time because you're already at work or you're at your business, you're already away, but you got another family, you got another woman across town or down the street or whatever. You're splitting households. You're not around her. That's just another time for you to not be around. Then also, women are kind of somewhat territorial, so they don't want other women around. The idea of it to a certain extent for a lot of women, the idea of you being with another woman is nasty. Like, believe it or not, women are okay with men being gay. They're okay with LGBT and all of that. But the idea of a man being with multiple women is disgusting for women. Okay, that idea for them is more disgusting than even a gay relationship. They find that less disgusting than basically a man being with multiple women. And then also women want um they want full paternal rights, meaning they don't want any other offspring because it goes into splitting children. Like they want all rights and responsibilities to be solely on their children, their children, your children with them, and that's it. Even some women, believe it or not, and I got to talk about that. Some men sign up to be stepdads, and they taking care of other men's children, and the women, they're very concerned about even that. Like, you taking care of the children that ain't even yours. So they're very concerned about that. They act like they don't care about it, but they're very concerned about that. Everything that they mention they're concerned about, even if they say they're not concerned about. But yeah, they don't want children being split because also, you know, children come with more responsibilities, more money. They don't want that split up. They're concerned about that. And then even future, possible heirs. that goes back to, basically the European monarchy system. More heirs, more possible enemies when it comes to, kingdoms. Like if a king had heirs around, that is a possibility for a future king or queen to possibly take over the kingdom. And the queen, she doesn't want that. She wants her children to have access to the throne. She doesn't want other offspring of other women to have any access or any line to that throne. So this goes back quite a long time. This is the reason why this exists. This is all about, kingdoms and Europe and all of that. That's where all this stuff comes from. The Catholic Church, all of this stuff comes from. That's the reason why Europeans are very hard line on monogamy, even though they don't, practice it. It's not like, when your white men don't cheat or don't have other families and other offspring. They do, but on paper and on people's perceptions, they have their own family and they keep up that family model or keep up appearances, let's just say. But the thing is, it all goes back to the kingdoms of old. Okay. The peasants, the serfs, knights, lords, counts, uh, princes, queens, kings. That's where all of this stuff comes from. And if you had heirs out there all over the place, those are possible access. They have an access line to the throne. They're in line to the throne, and the queen does not want that. She does not want all these heirs to have possible access to this throne. That, if her husband dies, which is the king, they didn't want that, so they were very competitive. All of this monogamy stuff is really upheld. It's really upheld by women. Okay, women uphold this, and it goes back to that concept, the very concept of what I'm saying, as far as the European kingdom monarchy system. Basically, any bloodline to the king had possible access to that throne. So if the king had all these heirs all over the place, all of these bastards all over the place, they possibly had access, future access to that throne. The throne could be contested because you know the queen's children were supposed to have access to that throne, not anybody else. So that's where all of this comes from. That's where all this monogamous, the Eurocentric concept of monogamy comes from. That's where all of this comes from. It was cutthroat in Europe. Europe was very, very cutthroat, cold climate, harsh survival. People had to really, really, really be, tight knit, and they had to survive. They didn't want all of these heirs all over the place. So, that was, where that concept started. Now, the thing is that in Africa, they had basically tons of food, tons of sunlight, tons of resources, and they had more women than actual men. And the men that had more resources, they can take on more wives. They wanted more wives. One woman is just not enough. That's just too close to zero. Okay. It's so if you got one woman that's on her period, okay, you basically you gotta wait, a couple weeks or whatever to and you not having sex under the European philosophy of relationships. You just gotta wait till she's done bleeding and everything. She could be like, "Oh, I don't want to give you any sex. I don't. I you didn't throw out the trash, so I don't want to give you any pussy." There you go. And if a woman was pregnant, it wasn't. And I'll be honest. Like I have experience because I mean, just like I've had children. Some men don't have children, so they don't really, some guys may have some pregnancy scares and they understand this because this is what I learned from basically the many times that I've gotten women pregnant. Now, I've gotten women pregnant before. I mean, I ain't gonna say how many times, but I know enough from copulating that once a woman is already pregnant, you can possibly, if you have sex with her while she's pregnant, you can harm the baby. A lot of people don't know this, and I learned this the hard way, because I actually learned this through, before I had my children. I learned this. And once you learn something, you know it, and it gets locked in, and it just becomes wisdom. And the thing is that you can have sex while the woman is pregnant, but it's not ideal. The reason being is having sex, especially I'll even say if you have a long or even long or girthy penis, you can harm that child. As far as like um you can cause your woman to have a miscarriage and damage basically the fetus, because you got to understand, like, when you, especially if you doing like certain positions, like let's just say doggy style. If you're doing doggy style, and you going really really rough, you can harm that fetus, because basically it's just very simple. You just reach close enough, and there you go. You just killed your baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I learned this the hard way. Like, nobody really talks about this because it's just people. Europeans are real hush hush about sex. They don't really like talking about it, especially the British. And most people, that's what they follow. They follow the Brit they follow British Eurocentrism. In America, they follow British Eurocentrism. And under British, basically under the British, they don't really talk about sex like that. That's not, it's frowned upon, you maybe go to Spain or even, France, they might be more vocal about it, but the British, they have a, they kind of have a hush mentality when it comes to talking about sex. That's why even and it still holds true to this day. Still, it still remains a concept to this day. They just don't really like talking about it. It's a hush topic. Don't be naughty, right? But the thing is that this is just something that I learned being, just living my life. You can't really go too hard in the paint while your wife or your woman, and whatever fiance is pregnant. So you're really not even supposed to have sex while the woman is pregnant. I'm gonna just keep it real. Like, you're really not supposed to, because it's kind of like, just look at it like this. Let's just say, mm, how can I explain this? What is a good analogy to explain this, right? All right, so let's just say you got a 3D printer. All right. You already got a 3D printer printing. It's printing. It's in a process. It might take 6 hours. It might take a whole day. It might take 2 days. This thing is printing along. So imagine you taking a 3D printer, and then while it's already printing up some type of mold or whatever, um, you going in it and trying to put some more plastic in it to make another mold while the existing mold is already going on. It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't work. And that's kind of how that is. Like, you really, if you do have sex, you definitely have to be gentle. You have to be very surgical and gentle, because if you go too hard, and especially if you packing, the stereotype is true when it comes to me, and I'm also good at sports. So the thing is that, yeah, like, you can harm that fetus. So technically, you're not really supposed to be especially, yeah, you're just not supposed to be with your wife while she's pregnant. I'll just keep it really, really old school and just say that. So while your wife is pregnant, you ain't having no sex. You got 9 months of celibacy now, because your wife, you only got one wife. Following Eurocentric monogamy, Eurocentric European monogamy. Your wife's pregnant, and there you go. Now you gotta what? Beat your dick for a whole year. I mean, most men, they just, and a woman wants to have sex too. So, but most of the time, you're gonna have sex while you're pregnant. I will say that. Even though you're really not supposed to. I'll just say that. But okay, she's already knocked up. Well, I mean, it's certain periods of time you're not gonna be able to have sex, because she just the pregnancy is too extreme. Like, around 8 or 9 months, you ain't gonna be trying to have no damn sex, most likely. But even if you go through the whole process, okay, she's delivered the baby. You got a whole fucking like 2 months. This is what people don't know, because they ain't never had no fucking kids. You know, I ain't just, I ain't people talking about you ain't getting no pussy. I got more than pussy. I got I got kids. I mean, I got babies, man. I didn't shot off babies, and I done, successfully done it. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, the thing is my understanding and insight is different than someone that has never had children. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's it. The thing is that, yeah, you got to wait about 2 months after the baby is even born to have sex again. Uh, and the thing is that, yeah, she's not the same as this, that's the first time she's had a baby. Her body is different as well. It starts to change. Okay, well, there you go. That's why you need another wife, right? Another wife comes in, you can have sex while your wife is pregnant. You can have also the woman take care of the baby. You need someone to take care of the fucking baby. Grandma don't want to take care of the baby, especially the new age grandmas. The new age grandmas are the worst grandmas ever. The Generation X grandma and the millennial grandma, is they don't even want to be grandmas. They going to the club, and they looking for a fucking, another husband or another baby daddy or boyfriend. They don't, they're not trying to be grandmas. It just, what I'm saying, it's just the new age. I noticed this, the like younger boomers, grandmas, and the Gen X grandmas, they just not really like the old grandmas that used to just like my grandma. My grandma used to just stay in the house. That's one of the things I noticed about most grandmas, like back of old. Most of the time they were probably, like my grandma, they were housewives, so they were used to staying in the house. Like my grandma always was in the house. So my mom used to just drop us off on the weekend and we'll be living with grandma and grandpa. What I'm saying? Cook some breakfast for, Saturday breakfast or whatever. Like, that just a lot of women are just not grandmas like that. They not sitting at home, what I'm saying? They they don't want to be bogged down by children. Like they just, so the thing is like having another wife to help you, help each other cook and clean and you know, take care of the husband and take care of the children. I mean, other woman automatically steps in and handles business, right? She's able to fill in the gaps. Like even when you got a business, right? You don't just have a manager, you have an assistant manager. You might have two assistant managers and then you got one manager, you know what I'm saying? And then you might have somebody that's, might be up next to be an assistant manager. You don't want to just when you got a business, you don't want to just have a fucking manager and then, that's it. Everything is on the manager. Like, what if the manager gets sick? What if he, gets in a car accident? Whatever. Like your business is just tanked. You got nobody to step in. So it's always supposed to be a line of the new manager, the assistant manager. So that's why you have assistant managers. The assistant managers are the next up to be the manager in case the manager something happens to the manager. And then you have multiple assistant managers, so you can have basically you have some type of like upward um hierarchy to where it's someone is going to constantly work up the system and become the next manager. So you have an assistant manager, maybe like two or three assistant managers, have the manager. You might have an owner that might comes in if it's like real busy or something. Then you have like, maybe the best worker or the lead chef or um the lead restaurant clerk or whatever, and then they might be the next up in line to be the assistant manager. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just that type of system because you want to constantly have people to fill in, um the next person up, type of thing. So yeah, that's the way, polygamy has been. That's why people have polygamy and it's like it's basically helps out the other person and then it's a bigger family. Then you got children, then the children, they help out, then they bring bounty to the family and everything. So that's why that worked like that. That's why that worked. And that's why Africa doesn't really have the birth problems that Europeans have too, because one is one of the things I notice about like I don't like to have one of anything too much. Like one is too close to zero. Like you don't even want one car. You want like I always have at least two cars because in case one breaks down or something, I got another car as a backup. If something you need to drive like a big heavy load, you got a pickup truck or something that you ride. Then you have your regular car. I mean the thing is that this is why that worked. That's why it works so well. It's why it's no birth problems like that in Africa. People people been following a system that's over 10,000 years old, and that system is definitely polygamy. So I mean, the thing is this. I understand my little live stream and my little channel ain't gonna change people's Eurocentric values. Black women are still gonna be Eurocentric when I log off of this live stream. They're gonna continue to want to be monogamous. You know, those black people in Europe as well. Okay. The thing is that one of the things to keep in mind is everybody, what if all men, you know, and this is just for men, what if all men just like, you know what, fuck monogamy. You either take this polygamy or you just, you know, you get left to the side. Well, what will happen is this is what will happen. This is it's just common sense. It's just, you know, just biology, it's nature. Women are just gonna basically have to be polygamous. They're just gonna have to, just for survival, because they're gonna want a man. And then, you know, because women gonna see the women with other men and they're gonna, you know, they got a husband and they all, you know, combine with each other and everything. And if they want a man, they just gonna have to get in line. You know, the thing is that when men basically because a lot of black men we follow what white people do and others, and we just follow what they do, so we just do the same shit. And the thing is unfortunately, because of that, you know, that's why we have this type of, you know, setup. And the thing is that it's a terrible setup, and we do worse. We do the worst with this setup, right? We do the worst with this system, this American Eurocentric, you know, mating system and relationship system. We do the worst. We fare the worst with this system. Okay, it's not working. It's working the worst for us, because we have the least marriages and quite a bit of divorces. You know, the black women have a lot of abortions as well. So it just doesn't really fare well. You know, even trying to force a round, you know, hold down a square peg, which what we're doing with trying to, you know, follow this system. I mean, it worked. It worked in the 1950s because people had to. Women had to basically stay in relationships with men to survive. They just had to. Once they no longer had to, they you know, basically it was a choice. It was an optional choice. The way society is right now, I will say the way society is now, um is still optional for women, but is becoming less optional, I'll say, because you got to look at the housing prices. The housing prices alone, uh it'll break your back trying to pay for a mortgage all by yourself, handling a house all by yourself, just handling life all by yourself. Is just, the society right now is so competitive, is so unstable, that you do need both men and women to handle this life right now, especially in America. You just, you know, and unfortunately, you know, the relationships, the black relationships are faring the worst actually. Even trying to, you know, follow some type of Eurocentric standard for relationships is still not working. So the thing is that it's just a, you know, it's just a perspective from a male voice. You know, black man is just, you know, kind of has a different perspective. And you know, maybe you should, I mean, this is just, black men already understand. We woke on this, we've been woke on this, but a lot of black women need to look at Africa. I mean, look at how they live and what's worked for them, and be more accepting and be more comfortable with your man having another woman. I mean, if you could just, I mean, just deal with that, it'll make your life a lot better. I mean, I just, this ain't nothing different than I'll tell my daughters. I mean, I will talk to them and try to help them explain why men do what they do, why they think the way they think. I mean, they're young, so I'm not talking to them about that. But I mean, the thing is that a lot of women just probably need to kind of wake themselves up and just kind of learn some new things, new concepts. Um, the concept of black polygamy is growing. It's growing at a slow pace. But it is a concept nonetheless, and it is out there. It is people out there practicing it, and they're doing what they're doing that, and white people have been practicing polygamy. The Mormons primarily practice polygamy. The Mormons and the Amish have been practicing polygamy in America for over 100 years. Okay, so they also do have sects that practice polygamy. Okay, so and they thrive and they do very, very well. Okay, so in closing, it's just to it's just kind of, I guess, this message is to primarily black women. I mean, this is just something for you to think about, whether you agree with it or not. I think most black women just hard line. They don't agree with it. They don't emotionally agree with it, so they don't mentally believe in it. But trying to control men just don't it doesn't work. It will never work. It just will make you sad, lonely, and depressed. Trying to control men and what they do, and trying to punish them for what they've done. It just doesn't work. That it's just something that you could think about, as far as as far as the best you can.